warning. This is a warning. I warned you. Do you want to draw like these beautiful tasty artists? Me too. So I'm going to teach you how to not think so much about the anatomy of something and think more about the shapes of it. But once again, I don't always use shapes. For example, sometimes I use food. You'll see that later in this video. Anyway, for the waist, I use a rectangle shape as it kind of gets me a better understanding, but it can also be a square shape depending on your reference or if you're freehanding. It's really just up to you. The head is kind of the easiest part for me. The square shape or circle shape is really easy to draw because it doesn't have to be perfect because you'll have hair kind of covering it, as you can see in my little OC down in the bottom. I know for me that the legs are really hard to draw. That's why I usually do a head position in most of my drawings, as you've seen on my channel. Really, for me, I see legs as cylinders or chicken drumsticks because I'm hungry right now. But you have to remember one thing about drawing legs is it's not straight. But also, it's coming from a person that will refuse to use an anatomy book. So, I mean, take what you can. This is not the best example of legs as I cannot draw them really good. I am trying to work on that. But as you can see, this kind of does look like a chicken drumstick. Now, moving on to the arms. The arms are usually in a cylinder or a rectangular shape. I usually use cylinder because for me it's just the easiest to make or kind of make sense of. As you can see though, I'm not the best at drawing arms because I refuse to use an anatomy book. So, this is a really, really bad example. But for arms, you just have to remember it's not just one big noodle. It is two different sections. This is my example of taking those shapes and turning it into a body. Now, the one thing about a body is this example is not the best. Once again, not using the anatomy book. This was really bad because I did rush it just to kind of show you what the shapes are. That example is an imposter. Now, you can see me breaking it down into shapes just to try to give you an idea. See, I did use a triangle for the lower waist and a square for the head because for me it's my favorite shape to work with. Remember that it's just shapes. The body, when you break it down, is shapes. Now, moving on to this Pinterest person, I'm going to try to break it down into shapes to show you how you could take an example like this, make the shapes, and try to recreate the position. So, basically, I'm breaking down into different shapes like we practiced, and I'm going with a circle for a head, cylinders for the legs and arms. For the chest, I'm going in with a rectangle. For the torso, I'm going in with a square kind of rectangle. For the lower waist, I've gone in with a triangle shape. For the hands, I didn't even try because we're not here to talk about hands. Okay, I'll suffer again. Just in case you guys didn't get what I just said, I'm just labeling it so you guys can really understand the shapes I used, such as cylinder, triangle, square, and circle. Those are the main ones that I use. Now, going in with a more complicated type of pose, I go in with two squares, a triangle, a really long cylinder, more long cylinders, a circle for the head, for the neck, I'd say about a cylinder. For the feet, or the foot, I'd say go in with a triangle, not a rectangle like I just did. Because for me, it helps me, and that's kind of how I got taught. Well, I'm self-taught, but that's kind of how I got my feet. As you can see, I'm just going to fix it up here. Because for me, triangle just works better. It might be the opposite way for you, and you think that rectangle works better for you. But for me, personally, it's the opposite of that. Now, we've made it to the end. If you guys aren't subscribed, which 80% of you guys aren't, then go hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you. Bye.